Hello everyone, I'm back with another demo today. As you already know, we are very bullish on agentic applications, and I personally feel that all web applications will need to provide agents for their users to accomplish tasks on their websites. If you're following the AI space closely, you may already know that AI agents are applications where LLM is central to orchestrating actions. Basically, an AI agent is told what needs to be done and given some tools, and it needs to figure out on its own what action should be done and in which order they should be done to accomplish the task, which can be seen on the image as well, which is a simplified image where task is fed to a LLM and it's got some access to tools as well. Then it figures out actions and accomplishes the task based on the actions that it performs. In my earlier demonstration, I had displayed how browser actions can be controlled based on voice and text commands. Now we've gone a step further. We've enabled how, using the same voice or text inputs, actions can be performed on your web application. With this method, agents can access the data directly using your RESTful API, or they can directly go into your database and figure data out from there and perform actions on behalf of the users. This is completely bypassing the browser. And the best part is, to enable these agents, there's no change that need to be made in your web applications. This is a completely separate layer which sits outside of your application. So no code change is required at all. So for the people who are technically inclined, a 2-minute overview of how all of this works under the hood. As you can see on the image here, when the user sends a request to this application via chat kind of UI, it could be a voice input, it could be a text input, or it could be a mix of both voice and text, right? The information is passed on to the AI agent. AI agent is a program which is sit like a wrapper on top of a LLM, right? So it has a LLM, it has intelligence from the LLM, and then it has got some access to some tools. For example, here it has got access to a MCP server, which is Model Context Protocol server, which is exposing this RESTful API in terms of MCP, right? So AI agent gets access to the tools. Now, whatever task has been assigned by the user goes to the AI agent. It in this image we've shown only one tool there, but it could be multiple tools, right? Then AI agent figures out which tool needs to be called to accomplish the task and in what order the tools need to be called, so that so it processes that, it calls multiple tools in succession, it gets the output from the first tool. Based on that, it takes a decision as to what is the next tool and what input I should give. All of that processing is done by AI agent, and then at the end of all of this process, it will have some output, which could be a JSON output, it could be a text output, that is passed on to mostly a transformation layer where I could wrap that text into, let's say, a beautiful HTML, or I could set it up to create an image, or it's passed on to a transformation layer, which is then sent back to the user into the chat UI or whatever UI user is using. That's how this whole process internally works in a nutshell. So now we come to the interesting part, which is demonstration. So today I will demonstrate how we enabled AI agent for our web application Gatekeeper. Before I display what can be done via AI agent, I would briefly tell you about what Gatekeeper is and what all it can do. And then I will show you the demonstration where AI agent, what all capabilities it can add, what it can do on top of it. So let's get into the demonstration. So as you might be aware, we have this application which is called Gatekeeper. What this does is you could add your multiple cloud-based servers to this, and it will monitor all the detailed statistics about the server. It will give you notifications as well. For example, currently this is a test server which is available on this account. If I click on the details of this, basically, right, so it will give me all the statistics that it is capturing about this server, right? It gives me some high level information at the top, and then it gives me all the CPU usage, which processes are using CPU, and RAM usage, and it gives like disk IO. It gives you a lot of statistics, which ports are open for people, which ports are open to the world. If somebody tried to hack into your SSH, it will tell you how many times SSH login attempts were made. So it collects all of this real-time information. It presents it in a presentable dashboard, right? And you can view all of that, and then you have got backups enabled or not, or you've got performance monitoring, for example, for Apache or Nginx and MySQL databases, things like that. So it monitors a lot of things for you on your on your server, right? That's what Gatekeeper is all about. Now, a lot of times what happens is, this account only has one server, but my original account has 50 servers, right? And it's really difficult to go through all of those servers and figure out what's going on. So that's been something that's been, catching a lot of my attention as to how we can make it, easier for people to, interact with web applications, which have a lot of features that can do a lot, but then user is interested in one tiny little thing. So that's, they can, interact with that application and ask that specific question and get that answer. So that's what we've been working on. And that's what I'm going to demo in this video today. So what we've done is we have basically connected this chat agent with our Gatekeeper application. So this chat agent has access to all the data within Gatekeeper application, right? And it is aware of the context in the sense that it's aware which user is currently logged in, what all data access that user has. So this chat application has that authentication and, built into it, so that it looks at the data which is authorized only to that user. So to start with, let me ask this agent what all tools does it have access to. Let me ask that via voice. What all tools you've got access to? So basically, the voice we've already seen, voice gets transcribed, and then it looks at the question, and then it responds.
So tools for memory management, server monitoring with Gatekeeper, and chart generation, allowing me to store and retrieve data, monitor servers and their processes, and create charts from data. Let me know which tool you'd like to use.
So basically it's got voice enabled responses as well. So like it summarized it for me. It's got memory related tools, so it can store things in memory. It can basically retrieve things, for example, if you're doing something on the Gatekeepers, you're fetching some information from the Gatekeeper server, it'll figure out what is important on its own, and it'll try to preserve it locally for itself so that you can reuse it. That's what it's been told, right? But alongside that, you can also ask it to save something specifically in memory and then retrieve it from there if at all you need it, right? So we will see that in the demo as well. And it's got some charting tools as well, so it can generate charts on the fly. We'll get to see what all charts are available and those kind of things. So let me ask it what all servers are available. I'll not speak because then it starts responding as well. So what all servers are so it should essentially say one active server, because we already have seen that there is just one active server here. If I go to monitor servers, I've got just one, and probably one inactive server as well. So I think that's what it will say. Let's see what it's. So it's basically trying to contact the API. It's trying to pull out the data from there, and then it's probably trying to put it in a more presentable way. So so it says that I've got a test E2E server which is active, which we saw here, which is the active server test E2E, and it's got the UUID for that server. It's got the inactive server as well. So both of those servers it's got, right? So let me see, let me ask it to give me the CPU usage on test E2E server for last 15 minutes in our tabular. Let me clearly specify total CPU usage so that it doesn't get confused. Let's see what it does. So basically what I've asked is, this is the only active server, so I've asked it, to get the CPU usage for this server. We already see the CPU usage here. This is for last 30 minutes, right? So it has varied between 30 and those things. That's what it should be able to show us here. Let's see what it does. So basically it's doing multiple iterations with the tools. It's first of all it'll have to figure out the unique ID for the server, and then it'll have to call the server with that unique ID, get the data, and then it'll have to like create a HTML table maybe, and then maybe get a chart and then embed that. So a lot of things have to happen in quick succession. That's what it's trying to do, which is where it's taking some time as well. And at times even the calls to LLMs takes some time depending on the load on the server. So we are anyways working on making it faster and things like that. So there's a big trade-off between speed and accuracy with LLMs specifically. So okay, now we've got the data here, so it shows that the latest is around 30%, and then sometime back it was around 10%. So that's what it shows here in the chart as well. This is not something that's been written in the code. So it did pretty much everything on the fly. It was able to get all of this data and present it in a presentable way. If we compare it with what's on the server, so we see pretty much the same thing here on the server as well. Let me refresh it a little bit so that we see the latest data. So pretty much, I can go to the detailed view and see. Yeah, so basically last 15 minutes is somewhere around here, right? So that's what it shows us here as well, right? I can also ask it to give me, let's say, because on the server on this side we get to see user CPU usage, total CPU usage, and system use CPU usage, right? So I can ask it that as well. Let me try and do that. This time I don't want to see it in tabular manner. Total CPU usage, total user, and let's see how it does. So basically pretty much the same thing. It'll have to go back, look at the data on the server. It'll have to go back and prepare the chart, this time hopefully all the 3 charts, and then take it from there, right? So that's what it will do. In the meantime, let me wait for it. It's done like 2 or 3 different calls. We'll be preparing the data. So the bigger thing with AI based applications is every time you get a response in a different format, in a different way. Sometimes it will be HTML tables, sometimes it will be cards, sometimes it will be plain text, right? So that's not something, you can ask it to do it in certain format, but then that's where it's probabilistic behavior. It will probably use different tools at times to present it. So it's not, okay, so it's pulled out. Here's the CPU usage, user, system in total for test UTE server over last 15 minutes, displayed in line chart. So user, system, total is here 30, and then user, and then system. Let's compare it with the real actual data. Okay, so basically up top is the total, and at the bottom green is the system, and basically 23-24% is the user. That's what it shows here as well. 23-24% is user, total is 30, and then system. So it's accessing the same data pretty much. So I am currently asking it to generate the same charts which are available so that we can compare. But then if you want some new data as well, that can definitely be done, because on Gatekeeper we have all the data presented in different chart formats, so it's difficult to do it there. But let me ask it to show me wow, the notifications from the and save it in tag. Okay, so this time I'm gonna ask it to get all the notifications from the servers, and I'm not asking it to explicitly save it in memory under notifications tag, right? What I could do is later on, when let's say after 3 or 4 hours or a couple of days, I can ask it, give me all the new notifications which it can compare with what it's got in memory, right? And then it can tell me what's new or what's not, right? So for example, so I've retrieved the notifications from all the servers and saved them under the memory tag notification. So it's done that. Alongside, it's presented it to me in a summary here. So it says almost 90% of disk has been used on E2E server. So we'll have to do something about that. But for now, let me try and rephrase this query and ask it to show me something which is not in memory already, right? Let's see what it does. Notifications on which are the from. Okay, so I'm telling it to show me all the notifications from the servers which are different from the ones in memory under tag notification. So it should now tell me that there is no new notification because all of this is already saved. Let's try and see if it's able to use the memory correctly or not, right? So that's what it'll probably show us. And alongside, so like we discussed in the last video as well, it's possible. So yeah, it comes back and tells me that there is no change or there is no new notification compared to what's in memory. So that's how you can explicitly use memory which is there, which is primarily for the application to use. But as a user, if you want to use those memory tools, you can definitely use it. It's a persistent memory, it stays there. You can probably delete it as well. And let me try something funny here. So I have pasted this thing in Hindi. Server पर मेरे लिए कोई important notification है. So let's see if it's able to understand that, and let's see how it's able to respond on that, right? That will be more interesting. So although the data would be similar what we've seen already, but let's see if it what kind of language is it able to understand. The language, is it able to give it. So okay, so it's come back with it. It's tried to answer it in Hindi as well. यहाँ पर आपके सर्वरों के लिए प्राप्त महत्वपूर्ण notifications का सारांश तालिका है, which is a little too much of Hindi, but basically, yeah, looks good. And then you've got the same two notifications, right? So it understands Hindi in terms of when you type it in. I can ask the same thing. Let's say let me try and do something funny there. पिछले 15 मिनट का रैम यूसेज टेस्ट E2E सर्वर का डिस्प्ले कीजिए इन अ चार्ट प्लीज. So let's see, yeah, please display the last 15 minutes of RAM usage of test E2E server in a chart. Okay, it's kind of understood that. It's translated it into the right English translation. Now it has passed it on to the servers to process it. Let's see how it goes. So hopefully it will be able to give me the RAM. It's been able to give me the CPU usage. I haven't tried RAM at all, but let me see if it's able to get something from there. So that will be interesting. So basically it's able to, I can ask it in any language, in terms of I can type in any language, I can talk in any language, as long as it understands. It's got tools. It's able to dynamically figure out what it has to call, what it has to get, and it knows that we prefer HTML like tabular fashion. We prefer the data to be easily be consumable, so it presents it in that format. And then basically whenever charts are possible,
RAM usage for test E2E server over the last 15 minutes was recorded at 1-minute intervals in gigabytes.
Cool. So basically, yeah, because it was a voice command, because it translated it to English and then it was able to process it, that's why it responded in English. We could probably translate it in Hindi, and the voice could speak in Hindi as well, although Hindi sounds a little funny with the accent that they've got, but we'll have to figure out some better voice agents for that. So basically the demonstration where it was supposed to basically get the data for RAM based on what I spoke works there as well. So basically this is a tiny extension to what we had done earlier. We were working on browsers, we were able to see tiny actions on browser, but now there are 3 or 4 basically tools behind the scenes that are running. Like we saw here, there's memory related tools, there's Gatekeeper monitoring server, and then there's charting tools. So it's combining all of those and presenting to you the data. If I had added the memory related tools, let's say email related tools, I could have asked it to email this report to me on whatever email I provide. So all of that can happen here, which is interesting. And the bigger part is basically, so without tweaking anything into my current web application, this is just a wrapper on top, which is completely separate code base, right? And this can be added into a chat kind of thing within the application itself, or it could be on Telegram, or it could be on WhatsApp, or wherever you want it to be, right? And you can talk to it, you can type into it, and all of this without any actual code change in your current application. That's what the most interesting part is. Okay, so as we've seen in the demonstration, AI agents can sit as a chatbot in the web application and can help users accomplish tasks without having to navigate through the application via complex menus. Not only that, it can also serve as a contextual help to the application user. There are so many times where users get lost and have a lot of questions while using your web application. That's where this chat kind of interface can come in and help the user in their context. Wherever they're stuck, they can ask questions and it can respond as to where this information is, or how they can access it on the web application. So let me know if you've got any questions or comments. Would be happy to help you with your AI agent implementations. Thank you so much for watching.